Preparing to stream. Okay. And we are live. Yay! Hello, everybody! We're live. Very impromptu today because my kind co-hostess reminded me today is a third quarter moon. And we'll introduce ourselves, but I want to take a half a second and just say, Mom, I know you're out there watching. This one's dedicated to you. So there you have it. Anyway, I am Julie Sherwood, your Best Hopes Wellness Coaching. I do 13 sign constellational astrology. I'm a root cause therapy practitioner where I can help you align to your evolutionary path using the stars and then some work to kind of move the things out of the way that hinder you from getting there. And I do Reiki, and I'm also a solution focused wellness coach. So mind, body, spirit, but my true love is with the stars and the root cause therapy work because they marry beautifully. So anyway, yourbesthopeswc.com, and then we'll go around the room, and Ms. Maria, tell us about you.
Hello, everybody. And yes, that is literally how it happened. This morning, I sat down on my computer and was like, oh, it's a moon square sun. Hey, Julie, you want to do a thing tonight? And that's as much planning as we got. So, yep. I am Maria Schumacher. I am Vian of Vian at venus-13.com. My website is venus-13.com. I am a lifetime practicing witch. I take things at it from a more esoteric, nature-based perspective, but my passion is also with the stars and remarrying the earth and the heavens, right? Putting Earth back in her rightful place among the stars is what I'm kind of about. And helping us navigate that transition to realizing that we are all bigger than we thought we were.
Yes, yes. And Melody has joined us, and I'll have her tell you all about herself in a moment. Melody and I actually met through Mastering the Zodiac, Athen Comenti, with a workshop, and Melody hangs out in Canberra, Australia, while the rest of us here are in the US. And Melody and I have been online friends since 2017. It's 7 years ago this last month that we met online. So, and it's just been a beautiful friendship all these years. So, and we usually meet up on our Friday night, her Saturday morning. So we're doing this as a little party tonight. So Melody, tell the crew just a bit about yourself and how you came to constellational astrology, and then we'll talk about the third quarter moon today.
Hi, I'm Melody Bear. Yes, I hang out with these dudes. Um, and I'm not professional the way they are, but I have a personal interest in astrology, and got to through Athen, I got into constellational astrology. And I'm actually a singer-songwriter and a shamanic drummer, and at the moment I am actually writing a fairy tale about our distant my distant ancestry in Europe. So I'm nearly finished that. So hopefully that'll be available for people sometime. I don't have any contacts or website or anything like that yet. Okay, thank you.
All in due time. Saturn went direct, so things are going to start moving. Speaking of Saturn, what else we got, my dear friend? Do you have a chart?
Hey, anybody want to see a chart?
Hmm.
I'm going to need it because I really saw about
Have we
that
looked
yesterday.
today? Yeah. Did we mention the no planning thing that we kind of didn't do? Hey, is anybody online besides us? Anybody?
We have right now Look Up Astrology, also known as Lori in Washington. And I used to live in Washington, by the way, and moved from there 4 years ago next month. And then my dear brother, who's lived all the way in the Midwest all his life, just moved there yesterday. He waited till I left. I tease him, but anyway, so.
Yeah, turnip.
Hi, Lori. And anybody else who catches us live, again, it was a last minute announcement, but hey, we'll take you as you come, whether it be now or on replay. We love to have you.
There it is.
Okay, what you got there?
Well, hey, I found a chart. It looks like today.
So far, so good.
Yeah. What have we got going on? Okay. So the first thing that jumps out, of course, is the big old Grand Trine. Big old triangle right in the middle of the circle, right in the middle of the chart, bifurcated by the nodal axis.
I'm getting the drawing tools here, which is hard. Oh yeah, look at that triangle. She's a squiggly wiggly.
Uh,
And I'm sorry, you bifurcated here. Is that what you're saying? Is this one?
Sorry, but that's hysterical. Yeah, yup, that's
It's a squiggly wiggly.
that's very much it. Yeah. Okay, so we are on we are on talking to y'all today because it is a quarter moon day, which is moon square sun. So we see that, here at the bottom of the chart, right? Where's my thing? Do I not have a thing?
Do if you do it on Zoom, you can go up at the top and there's the annotation
Yeah,
right next to the three dots next to your name. You click the
there.
three
Can you
dots.
see my little pencil doing the
Yep,
thing?
yep.
Okay, yeah. Moon square sun. Okay. These are days when the collective is sort of having a challenge to make sure, just sort of review how your month is going.
Mm-hmm.
Moon square sun. Um, how are your insides meeting up with your outsides? How is your outer action reflecting your inner reality? How is your inner reality, processing what you're taking in externally? All that sort of good stuff. So we meet on those days because they are generally challenging for people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Those days of self-review and sort of facing yourself, and when your inner identity is square your outer identity, that can be uncomfortable. So that's why we meet.
Mm-hmm.
Today, that process is a waning moon, so the moon is getting smaller, but the moon is in Leo conjunct Regulus. And we like that in general because Leo brings out the moon's playful side, brings out the moon's sort of tender side,
Mm-hmm.
and that big-heartedness, that wanting to give, right? The sign of Leo is, or the constellation Leo, is home to the sun, really. The sun is most comfortable in the stars of Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So when the moon transits Leo, that's sort of one big time when like the moon and the sun are kind of combining their energies
Mm-hmm.
almost.
And what
Because
about Regulus? What's the key about Regulus?
Regulus is the alpha star of Leo, the heart of the lion.
Yes. Yes.
And so it just expands your heart even further
Mm-hmm.
in in terms of bravery, in terms of generosity. It's just one of those where the strength of Leo can imbue you with the ability to just be as loving and generous as you want to be without fear of rejection, without fear of it being taken badly. You just, oh, I want to give you diamonds. You know what I mean? I just
Mm-hmm.
want to be so generous and so loving and so gregarious and so big-hearted and maybe sometimes a bit high-handed, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Leo,
Leo,
I was going to say Leo moon people that I know are amongst the most generous, kind-hearted people when the energy is in its most beneficial use,
yeah,
right? Mm-hmm.
yeah. The challenge to this is that the sun is in the end degree of Libra. I mean, really, really on that cusp of Libra Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is not an easy placement. This
Mm-mm.
is not an easy placement at all, that
Mm-mm.
transition. Frankly, I feel like that transition, well, I mean, Leo to Virgo is a hard transition, but the transition from Libra to Scorpio is not only a bit fuzzy, but it generally brings with it a grumpiness. It generally brings with it a certain discomfort.
Uh-huh. And with that
And
sun, it's illuminating what wants to stay hidden as it moves into Scorpio.
kind of yes.
Yeah.
Kind of yes. And it also can illuminate the dysfunction of relationships. It can really illuminate what you're unhappy with
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and what you're unhappy with regard to other people. That's sort of illuminating what you want to stay hidden. You don't necessarily want it to stay hidden, but you also don't necessarily want to blurt it out loud either.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So square that back to Leo, who is wanting to be brave and generous and giving, but is a little conflicted because you're being faced with all of these relationships that aren't quite working for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you had a bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? Static? A little bit of tension, a little bit
Friction.
of
Friction.
friction.
Yeah.
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 With people where you just did not feel like you could connect with people today.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the moon in Leo can also be very mature too in its emotional outbursts. It's that little kid that wants to be seen and, look at me, look at me, look at me, and that's in tandem with the sun being right on that edge of illuminating the things you don't want to see. So it's just this interesting push and
Yes.
pull. And
Yeah.
before I forget too, I wanted to say the sun being right on that cusp of Libra Scorpio, the full moon was just in the first couple degrees of Taurus. So
Mhm.
we have this cuspy energy, which can be friction, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm not quite Leo. Oh, but I'm not quite Libra, but I'm sort of Scorpio, and I'm a little bit of Aries and a little bit of Taurus. It's like this blending, and you're trying to figure out which energy is trying to do all the talking. So
Right.
it can create that uneasiness, I guess is a good word.
And and then there's the moon in Leo that wants to be taken a certain way, right?
Yeah.
I want you to take me well. I want you to like me. I want you to love me. I want you to accept my gift. And when people just don't, there can be, then that little bit of scorpion that's there might sort of come out and be like, well, F you and the horse you rode in on. So so yeah, I have the feeling that for a lot of people, people were hard today.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing too is this lunar cycle, I think overall, is a tough one because it's got so much different energy going on. Because if I remember correctly, mind you, I've got a fuzzy brain this week, so you'll have to pardon me. But if I remember correctly, the new moon was Virgo, the last few degrees of Virgo.
Yes,
Then
cuspy
we
Virgo
have
Libra.
Yeah, and then we had the full moon, yeah, the sun is in Libra, and now it's on the cusp of Scorpio. So this whole lunar cycle, the sun is just, galloping along, creating all these different levels of energy, but you have to tap back into the beginning of that lunar cycle to really understand the overarching energy for the whole period of time. And it's not easy. I think this one is just, oh, and where was that full moon again? Who was he hanging out with?
Was that Dave?
And and that other star that Dave's hanging
Dave
out with?
and Algol.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the full moon is with the Dave and Algol. And boy, didn't they shake things up?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Boy,
Yeah.
didn't they shake things up. So for a halfway check-in point here, between full moon and new moon. As a waypoint, I mean, checking in to be reminded that this lunar cycle is a bit fraught is sort of like, yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
It 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 brings the feels and emotions and is beginning a period where we're having to look at ourselves with and see the things that we don't want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. And interestingly too, the other energies that are coming along for the ride here is we have Mars hanging out in Cancer, which Mars isn't, super happy hanging out there. And then we've got Saturn just went station direct. So now
Yep.
his momentum is building up in the stars of Aquarius up here.
Hmm.
And then, we've still got Uranus hanging out in retrograde and Jupiter in retrograde. So we've got this. Oh, and let's not talk about this little friend over here, what he's got going on. He's about ready to go retrograde for the third
Mercury.
time.
Oh, that's a
Yep.
whole chapter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole chapter,
So
which
you
we
just
will
throw
get
all that
to.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So yeah, since the new moon, Saturn has gone direct. Mercury is going to go retrograde. Um,
Mars went into Cancer.
Mars went into Cancer.
Uh-huh.
Sun's going to change sign.
Oh,
Uh,
and oh no, never mind. I misread this. I was looking at Jupiter being on the cusp, but it's not. He's actually
no,
right here.
he's not cuspy yet.
Yep.
Neptune is going to go direct pretty soon too. I don't think it's within this lunar cycle. What did I say?
Sometime coming up.
It's pretty, I mean, it's soon, but the point is that it's almost like we had this full moon and the heavens stopped
Yeah.
because so many planets are about to change direction.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
Yeah.
everything kind of ground to a halt, and now we are waiting for things to gain momentum in another way.
Yeah. And what's really interesting, we are 13 sign constellational astrologers, so we use the sky as it actually appears, to bring
Yep.
in that spiritual heart-centered connection to the sky. And yet, our mainstream world still uses tropical western,
Yeah.
the holographic overlay that does not adjust for the precession of the equinoxes. It's tied to the seasons. It's very physically based. And the reason I'm bringing this up is everybody out there this week is talking about what? Pluto
Pluto
going into
into
Aquarius.
Yep.
But actually, what I think they're feeling is Saturn having gone direct in
I
Aquarius.
completely agree.
Because
I
that's the feeling. That's the internal, how am I experiencing this rather than the mundane, physical, tropical.
Yeah.
So it's
No,
interesting.
Julie, I completely agree. So everything that everybody's been talking about with regard to Pluto going into Aquarius, they're actually talking about, at this point, they're talking about Saturn in Aquarius, but they're also talking about Neptune conjoining the North Node.
Yeah.
And that's another thing they don't know, right?
Yeah.
What y'all don't know is
Yeah. Yeah.
that Neptune is not going into Aries,
No.
not even close,
No.
like by miles. It is going to conjoin that North Node.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
Saturn next year is going to conjoin Neptune.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fun. Don't worry, there will be videos. Okay, we will talk about this. We will definitely talk about this.
Yeah.
But for now, let's cycle back since I touched on the North Node. So today on the Moon Square Sun, which is challenging because we are having to look at what we're not happy about with regard to our relationships. And also because it's personal,
Mm-hmm.
there's something in us that knows that when we're talking about how we're blame me, somebody else's fault, what we're really mad at is our handling of it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So there's yes, somebody is being a jerk, but I'm not handling it right. So there's
And where do you suppose that's coming from? What would you attribute that to?
that feeling of I'm not handling it right. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the end Libra.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's the sun in Libra making us look at ourselves. I think that some of the blaming might be coming from, frankly, the moon in Leo, that immature, oh, this is your fault. You're not taking it right. Well, you know, why are you being mean to me? I'm not being mean to you. I'm just not reacting the way you want me to, and you're not dealing with it well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Moon and Leo don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Moon and Leo don't want to hear that, right?
That's true.
I do not have time for self-analysis.
Right.
Moon and Leo does not have time for self-analysis. Sun in Libra kind of does.
Yeah, because again, it's reflectively highlighting all those things about you that you bring into relationship, Libra, Scorpio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you see yourself in relationship.
Yes.
That's what Sun and Libra does. It makes you see yourself. It doesn't make you just see your relationships. It makes you see yourself in
Yes.
relationship.
Yep. And vice versa, to see, see yourself in the relationship and see the relationship in you. It's
Yeah.
very reflective.
Yes. Yes.
Um, yeah, Melody, did you want to add some thoughts at all? Not to put you on the spot, but I just want to give you an opportunity to chime in. And you're on mute. It's okay. We
Yeah.
all do it.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I was looking at the other things that relate to the moon, and the thing that jumped out at me is the trine with Lilith asteroid and Eris to the moon,
Yep.
which would make it a bit scratchy as well, I would have thought.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
right
Even
here.
though it's a trine, they're both, I mean, Lilith and Eris are fairly blunt in their expression.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
Well, and look
sure.
at Lilith asteroid is hanging out in the last few degrees of Ophiuchus too.
Yep.
So
So
the GC is tied up in that as well
Yep. Hanging out near the galactic center, getting all of that
because it's
depth.
close to Lilith asteroid, yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's sort of, it's a bit tough, but I see a lot of opportunity there as well. It's like we're saying about the squares that it it's confronting, but it's opportunity. And Lilith and Eris are sort of, they tell it like it is,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not going to butter you up with
Yeah.
anything. But it's an opportunity, especially with that galactic center, and I think big opportunities. See, I'm seeing all this as opportunities because I'm having, personally, I'm having sort of quite a lot of challenges, but I'm also seeing the opportunities and I'm taking the opportunities. So
Mm.
I feel quite good about it all.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
really.
that is quite wise, isn't it? You
Mhm.
really can't, you almost don't have opportunities without challenges. If everything always goes along smoothly, where's the opportunity?
Right. Right. And that's the thing with squares. A lot of your astrologers will say, "Oh, squares are such hard aspects. They're awful. They're all that." That's like, no, 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 no. They can be a challenge, and we've talked about this before. It's a knock on the door you can't ignore. It's
Mhm.
how you choose to answer the door that makes the difference, right?
Mhm.
It's like you can really take a knock on the head with this sun square moon, or you can go, all right, it's coming. I know it's coming, and I'm going to get that little Leo moon dancing around here, kicking me in the ass, along with that sun showing me all the shit that I don't want to see. Okay, all right, I'll look.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
So here's where I'm going to segue to that trine to Mars, because we're talking about the sun illuminating all of this shit that you don't want to see. Mars is now in the home stars of the moon. He's in home. And so that action to, all right, I didn't want to see it, but now that I have, where's the broom? Let's get it cleared out. So he's working on home. He's working on I'm gonna bring my action orientation. I'm gonna bring my energy. I'm gonna bring a little, movement to that interior space and clear out all the stuff that I don't need anymore. That is cluttering up the home space. Maybe you just don't need to hang on to that resentment
Mhm.
over, getting you a vacuum for Christmas 5 years ago. Maybe you don't need to, for example, maybe we don't need to hang on to the resentment of, oh, this one time a guy with blonde hair and blue eyes was really rude to me. Therefore, all guys with blonde hair and blue eyes are
Right.
jerks.
Right.
Are they? But are they? You know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. Or maybe I don't have to hang on to an identity as a victim anymore
Mm-hmm.
because I'm able to respond now as an adult. I'm able to actually respond to things rather than feel like I just have to take what everybody throws out. Whatever that is for you, whatever there is in that home space.
Well, and I see Cancer too is also the mother archetype, right? That nurturing energy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be your mother, it's the energy of the archetype, right? The nurturer that's in your life or in your family or in your community or however you define that.
Mhm.
But this is an opportunity that when that sun is illuminating all those things that you may not want to see as he starts going into Scorpio, I think that Mars is asking us to take a little bit of action to nurture ourselves, right? Mars is very self-oriented, individually oriented, and action-oriented. By being in Cancer, not his happiest place, it really does invite that self-reflection, that self-nurturing, that self-care
Yeah.
in
That
a,
that
in a
he
nurturing
he
way.
does. That he wants to bring. And see, again, I'm not sure it isn't a happy place for him. Okay, yeah, maybe he's not out there, here I come to save the day. He's
Right.
got to be in the house. But the encouragement to put your action into caring for your home, caring for yourself, maintaining that nurturing
Mm-hmm.
environment
Mm-hmm.
is is very, very necessary and very beneficial. And trying to the North Node, a great step to catalyze a move to the future because it makes space in the home, in the heart, for future, right? For more to come in, for movement to happen in a new direction.
Yep. And ideally, here's a perfect example. Just about 2.5 weeks ago, that sun was in Libra, Mars was still in Cancer. My niece got married. So it was an action in union. It was
Yeah,
an action in union for family, you know. So
yeah,
it was a beautiful way that Mars energy just expressed itself. Yeah.
yeah. Whereas now the action is going to be more self-centered. And I do think that there will be a lot of, all right, I want to change the way I handle my interpersonal situations.
Mm-hmm.
I want to clean out that victim mentality.
Yep.
I want to, have boundaries.
Yeah.
Mars in Cancer, as well as Sun in Scorpio, can help create healthy boundaries. That's what
Yep.
the shell constellations are all about, right? Creating healthy boundaries.
The other interesting thing I just noticed too is we've got an interesting aspect going on, if I'm seeing this correctly. Yes. Um, we've got Jupiter right here, the little tick mark here, in square
Uh-huh.
to Saturn. So
Yeah.
you've got that push-pull energy, that limitation,
Yes.
expansion, and Jupiter's retrograde. Saturn is just now getting his momentum going forward.
Yeah.
So that you're going to really, really find that momentum is going to be in a way where take it one step at a time. We're building one step at a time. You may want to, because he's just getting out of the gate, but with Jupiter in retrograde, he's pulling back along with that forward momentum of Saturn. So this may create another challenge too.
Yes.
Why are
I,
things
I,
not happening as fast as I want them to? Why? You
hmm
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're happening. They're
Yeah.
happening. But yeah.
Well,
I,
and Jupiter in Taurus too is all about wealth and money too.
yeah.
Not all about, but can be. So there may be, opportunities you're trying to create in your own personal experience along those lines, but Saturn in Aquarius may be holding you back on technological connections or connections to the greater community that you need to find to create that opportunity that Jupiter in Taurus may allow for. But I think we got to do this lunar cycle cleanup first. You got to take care of all of this before you can expand out to that.
Mhm.
Mm.
And also this touches on the Mercury retrograde
Oh, yeah, it does.
because look who's opposite, right? So Mercury's opposite Jupiter.
Yep.
Yes.
So it's a
So,
T-square in essence.
and that, yes, exactly. It's not quite a T-square with Saturn.
Close, close.
Not quite. It'll get there.
Yep.
It'll get there shortly.
Yeah.
It's square Neptune.
Oh yeah.
Ah, okay.
Oh yeah. So, but what I think this signals is that the expansion is going to happen in a different way. Like if you're looking for expansion of material resources, Saturn is like, that's probably not happening, right? It's and so is Mercury, because Mercury's about to go retrograde. So yeah, Jupiter wants to expand material resources, but he's moving backwards. So there's a limit to that expansion, and there's also a limit to, I think, a change to what those resources are,
Mm-hmm.
which is the Aquarius and Ophiuchus component, right?
Yeah.
I
Like,
also think the Neptune component too.
oh yeah, oh yeah. So
I know
there
you
could
love you
be.
some Neptune.
I love to be sentimental. So there's going to be when you say material resources, what do
Mm.
you mean? And Jupiter's like, what do you mean? What do you mean material resources? Yeah, seriously, what do you mean, dude? Do you mean the thing that you use to buy things with? Because in my lifetime, currency has changed 3 times,
Yep. Yep.
right? In the existence of man, we used to barter, and then we got this paper that represented a thing. So then there was paper, and now it's digital.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what you mean as a resource, the thing that I use to to purchase stuff, you got to define what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be changing yet again,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, to having gone from barter, thing for thing, to um I will give you gold for thing, to I will give you paper for gold for thing, to I will give you a card that represents the paper that
Yep.
represents the gold for thing. And now, you know, so yeah,
And now Bitcoin is at some crazy amount of money today. I mean, it's just like,
right. And then here comes Neptune saying, do you realize that all of that is bullshit and the only thing that matters is the thing you're trying to get? Right? At
yes.
the end of the day, the only valuable thing in this whole equation is the potato that you've been trying to buy.
Mm-hmm. And interestingly, being in Pisces, in the end, it doesn't matter anyway because you can't take it with you.
Right.
You
Right.
know, it's
Yeah.
it's learning to surrender and detach from all of that too.
And devalue that
Yes.
none of it matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. It's and especially coming up to the North Node too. This is asking all of us to look at that. All of us.
And it might be a signal that this is where we've got to move to. That our future, and how scary is this? Our best future involves an understanding that currency is of no value.
Mm-hmm.
That the only things that are of real value are what money can't buy.
Yep. 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 I think yeah, I have no doubt and I think we're going to get back to also the barter systems in some ways. I'm already experiencing that in my own world. It's like service for service, things like that. I mean, I can't exactly go walk into the grocery store and say, hey, you want an astrology chart for a dozen eggs? I mean, it doesn't quite work.
Although you could walk down to the
But
farmer's market and
I was
say,
just going to
you
say
want
that.
this? Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So
yes.
it's interesting how that works out. So I don't know. I think we're gonna, and then with that Saturn in Aquarius, asking us again to look at the structures in our greater communities, our big collective community. How do we want to look at that? And Saturn was the traditional ruler, or is the traditional ruler of Aquarius. So, or lord of, dispositor of, the hanger outer of the home of Aquarius.
Yeah.
He was,
Saturn feels at home in Aquarius. Well, we
yeah,
can put it that way for sure.
yeah, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that all unfolds in the next And I don't know about y'all, but time has been weird lately. I mean,
Dude.
really weird.
Yes.
Yes.
Really, really weird. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, just the whole concept of it. I was telling our dear friends here, to me it seems like it's still November 1st. These last 3 weeks have, I mean, and I've had some family things, but even still, it's like, what do you mean it's almost December? Huh? I'm still on like November 1. Where did 3 weeks go? You know? Yeah.
You know, so listen, guys, I'm just gonna bring it back a little bit in the last 2 minutes because I'm afraid I need to go soon.
Yes.
But since part of the holistic health happy hour is practical advice for navigating this,
Yep.
I'm gonna say that because it's Moon in Leo, and because we've got kind of a whole lot of stuff that's still up in the air and strange, allow yourself that temper tantrum. Allow yourself that kind of immature leonine rah, right? Just, let those, and that's another thing about Mars being in Cancer. Just let yourself have that emotional clear out. Let
Mm-hmm.
yourself have that momentary purge in, of course, a way that, I'm not saying go ahead, go out and blow up that post office, but, when you have a few extra minutes, and you may find that if you allow it, like, all right, just give me a minute where I can let loose,
Mm-hmm.
that you might find yourself with an extra minute, somewhere at some point that you can do that.
Yeah.
So that is my tool. My advice for this is just take the opportunity to have that outburst,
Mm-hmm.
emotional release, whatever you got to do to get things moving through.
Roar like the lion. That's what came. Roar like the lion. Just let it out. You don't have to aim it at anybody. Don't be screaming at the checkout person at the grocery store or anything like that. Just go, stand in your closet and scream if you have to, or just a trusted friend, hey, I got to get this out. It's not aimed at you, but can I yell? Type.
I've done that. I had the store to myself for like a few minutes today, and I got off a phone call that was just frustrating after being interrupted with another frustrating. You know what I mean? It was just a
Mhm.
confluence of frustrating, and I just hung up the word like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
and that was all it took.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there are, if we identify ourselves as spiritual people, and if we identify ourselves as people of light, we mistakenly think that we have to be like happy and in meditation all the time, right? And we don't. We need to allow ourselves the full range of human emotion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And somebody brought that home to me not too long ago and reminded me because, I strive with the work that I do. It's like I have to be on and I have to be balanced. I have to be stable. I have to be. And it's like, Julie, if you bring that to the table to somebody who's struggling, they think that they're the failure because they can't emulate what you're doing. It's like just be you, be human.
Yeah.
Just let the hair down, let all the, crazy shit fly if it needs to. And it's okay. Obviously in an appropriate setting. I mean, I'm not going to have a breakdown when I have a client in a session, but well, maybe I might. You never know.
But you might. There and there's divine timing in that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
that's my advice.
And I think the Mercury going retrograde in Ophiuchus offers us another insight of how to use this energy, and that's reflective energy in a healing, internal healing, deep healing way. Just reflect, think about it from your own, and maybe do some communicating internally.
Right. I
Automatic
wrote
writing,
about I wrote
dream.
about reprogramming.
Yeah.
Like Mercury in Ophiuchus is almost begging us to reprogram ourselves.
hmm And shamanic drumming, it's another way to connect to that energy of communication with the beyond, right? It's you're pulling in that energy. I don't know. I just Mercury as the communicator in the stars of Ophiuchus. I just see that it's a different way to communicate, especially in retrograde. It's not just the jaws moving. So anyway,
It's the body. Yeah, Melody understands that for sure.
Exactly. Exactly. Doing the shamanic drumming for sure. So,
Mhm.
well, my dear friends, I know Hostess Maria has to go off and do things that are according to schedules and time. Because, we humans, that's the only way we can kind of make sure we meet in the same plane. But thank you all out there in YouTube land and replay land. And again, Maria, where can people find you?
Venus-13.com and Patreon. I have a Patreon page.
Yes.
Yes, on Patreon, I am Maria's Daily Charts because I write astrology daily on Facebook. So,
Yep. And if you're on her Patreon, you can get it in email if you don't happen to be on Facebook or in the Facebook group. So there are many ways you can get that info. And Wonderful Melody, we're going to be waiting for all of your beautiful words to come out. I can't wait because I've gotten some sneak previews.
yeah.
And I can be found at yourbesthopeswc.com. And stay tuned. In a couple more weeks, we'll do a first quarter moon because I'm sure it'll be a doozy. All right, friends, I am